Mailbag time here at Falcons Today. I'm answering questions that were asked during our live show, which airs every single Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern. Question coming in from Spencer Thomas. After the Stephon Diggs trade, could you see Atlanta making a splash trade for a player like Jonathan Allen? Interesting thought. I feel like the Falcons have been very stingy on their edge rushers, meaning like they're not simply going to go make a trade or a signing just for the sake of doing so. They really wanted Montez Sweat. Unfortunately, the Bears swooped in with a better offer, and the Falcons missed out on that. I've heard they were really interested in Khalil Mack. Ultimately, he decided to stay in LA with a pay cut, and so Atlanta missed out on that. So Jonathan Allen, I don't think is a very likely candidate, but I do think it's got some legs to it. I mean, he plays a position that the Falcons have some good depth at already. They brought back Contavious Street. Eddie Goldman unretired. Grady Jarrett returns from a torn ACL. David Onyemata's rocking and rolling. Like Jonathan Allen, I think would be a huge upgrade to the overall defensive line. But I think Atlanta would rather spend some of their resources on a true edge rusher outside linebacker. But if they don't feel like there's a good player at that spot, then maybe they do decide to make a trade for Jonathan Allen because he has been able to get after the quarterback despite playing on the interior defensive line. 9 sacks, 7.5, 5.5 sack seasons the last 3 years. So would you trade for Jonathan Allen? I'll toss this question your way. Yes or no? I think a trade for Jonathan Allen would cost you maybe a late third, like a third and fourth round pick swap, something like that. I don't think it's going to cost you much more than that. Mr. Fatboy. I like this question from Mr. Fatboy. Who do you think the Falcons should pick if all 3 top wide receivers and Dallas Turner is gone by 8? Or should they trade back? So this is a very specific situation that I don't think is going to happen, but it is the NFL draft, so you should always expect some level of the unexpected. But let's just say it's Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors. That to me would seem like the most likely top 5 picks. And then the Giants at 6, what if they go Rome Odunze? And then the Titans at 7 go Dallas Turner. 2 unexpected things really happened there. 1, no J.J. McCarthy. 2, no Joe Alta, Tennessee. But if all the J.J. McCarthy smoke is just that smoke and the NFL doesn't view him as a top 10 pick, similar to Will Levis last year, if I was Atlanta, I would be answering all phone calls. Star 6-7 phone calls, I don't care for pick number 8 if someone wants to move up and get J.J. McCarthy. If no one wants to move up and top 3 receivers and Dallas Turner are gone, I like Brock Bowers the most. I don't think they would go Joe Alt because they've got 2 starting tackles already. So maybe it's Jared Verse. Maybe that's more of a not best player available pick, but the best player at your biggest need at edge rusher. So Jared Verse, I think, would be the selection in this case, Mr. Fatboy. Archangel, thoughts on us double dipping with grabbing Jared Verse first round and going Renardo Green cornerback second round, both being from Florida State, since the wide receiver position is much deeper this year. I mean, look at the Rams. I'm not opposed to Jared Verse. I would prefer Dallas Turner, but I do like Jared Verse too. I think they're both good picks either way. I don't think Renardo Green, though, is a round 2 guy. This seems more like a round 3, maybe even round 4 type of player. So that, to me, seems a little bit on the earlier side for him. Trey1222. Petey, what player would surprise you the most being drafted by Falcons in round 1? Trey, good question. Surprise me the most? I would go with Brock Bowers, right? That's got a possibility of happening because, Brock Bowers is someone that could go top 10, right? I'm not going to name a guy that would go round 2 or something like that. But Brock Bowers, great player. I think he's going to make a phenomenal tight end for some team. I would be shocked if it's Atlanta because I think they don't want to give up on Kyle Pitts. I think they want to see how Kyle Pitts plays with an actual quarterback in Kirk Cousins compared to the last 2 seasons. So for me, I think Brock Bowers would blindside me if he was the pick at 8. Not because he's bad, but because there's been very little chatter or talk about him to Atlanta, and I think Kyle Pitts deserves another season to prove he is worthy of being that 4th overall pick. Now, we're going to look at some more questions in just a moment, so don't go anywhere. But first, I want to fill you guys in on our sponsor today, which is Game Time. You should not have to worry when you're trying to get tickets to all the fun sporting events coming up, whether it's baseball or playoff basketball and hockey. So don't miss the action because of ticket prices. With Game Time, you can get killer last-minute deals and all-in prices for all the big events. There is nothing more frustrating than spending time searching for the best ticket prices, which is why you should give Game Time a shot. They have flash deals and zone deals. If you want to get tickets in a specific section, check out their zone deals and see if you can get the lowest price guaranteed. Download Game Time today and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Now, what I love about Game Time is the all-in price feature, where you can actually see how much your tickets are going to cost before you get to the checkout part, and then you hit with all those fees and taxes. So download Game Time today. It's the best place to find last-minute seats. Create an account and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but again, create an account and redeem that code CHAT SPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. I put all that information for you all in the comments and description of today's video. Grand Limousine. Petey, what if one of the top projected talent picks falls to us? Grab him or see what there is to offer at 8. I mean, when you're picking at 8, there's a reasonable expectation and belief that one of those top projected talent players will fall to you. I think maybe the most, I wouldn't say surprising, but I guess surprising, Malik Neighbors is there at 8. I don't really care who's calling. I think Malik Neighbors would be a fantastic selection. Same for Rome Odunze. It does seem like those guys are going to go 5 and 6 to the Chargers and Giants, but maybe not. I would really need a good offer. The only reason why I would be even remotely interested in trading back from 8 would be if you feel like you're going to have draft picks taken away from you in the future because of the Kirk Cousins tampering. Maybe you try and trade back, get 2025 picks, which will soften the blow if the league comes in and takes away a first, second, or third from you. JC, do the Falcons have enough cap space to make another splash move in free agency, or do they have enough room to just sign their draft picks? The cap number is always fluid. As of right now, no, they don't have enough space to make a splash signing. Not that there anyone's really worthy of a splash signing. I think the biggest contract that will be given out to all the free agents remaining will be Justin Simmons, former Broncos safety. But they can always generate more cap space. They can restructure some contracts. Now, restructures are not the players taking less money. Those are pay cuts. Sometimes erroneously they are reported as restructures, which I guess maybe technically they are, but that's not a restructure. A restructure is taking a player's base salary and prorating it over the remaining years on their contract via signing bonuses. It lowers their cap hit for this year and raises future cap hits. Why do teams do that? So they can have more money to spend this year if they feel like they're in a win-now window. And the NFL salary cap always goes up. So the percentage salary cap hit will actually be less in the future than it is right now, as long as we don't have another global pandemic. So you also need a rich owner that can, write a $10 million check just like that. Because if you free up cap space, you are putting it into a signing bonus. So you literally need cash on hand to give that signing bonus out. There are some franchises, the Bengals, that they don't have ownership. That's we can write a $12 million check right now. We have that type of cash on hand. Not everyone does. Arthur Blank, he does. Diego, what do you think of replacing Kaleb McGary? He was okay for us, but nothing too special. Also, with Matthews getting older, I like the idea of bringing in an offensive tackle in the third. Diego, I do like where your head's at, and this is probably something I should, accept as a much realistic possibility than I've been giving it the last few weeks, because Kaleb McGary has proven to be a starting tackle in this league. I don't think he's shown that he can be much more than that in terms of being a Pro Bowl caliber player, but I do think Atlanta feels complacent with him. Jake Matthews is getting up there in the age column. I still think he's got years left in him, not just 1 or 2, But this is a loaded offensive line draft. So remember earlier when someone asked, what would be a surprising pick at 8? What if Atlanta says, we're going to go with Olu Fashanu and let him take over from either Jake Matthews or Kaleb McGary? You usually don't sit offensive tackles. Like, you're kind of wasting good years out of them. But maybe Atlanta feels like these prospects at offensive line are too good to pass on, and it's now's a good time to start replenishing the seeds at offensive tackle. So what do I think of it? I don't think it's going to happen, but I think a third-round pick is very much in play. NFL news and mock drafts. If we trade down to 11 and take Dallas Turner or Jared Verse, do we trade back up to 22 or somewhere late in the first and take a corner like Nate Wiggins or Kool-Aid McKinstry? So if you swap from 8 to 11 with Minnesota and they go get J.J. McCarthy, in this example, it sounds like, I mean, if that happens, pick number 9 is the Bears. They could go Dallas Turner or Jared Verse. They do need help at edge rusher. I think they would prioritize wide receiver, though, for Caleb Williams. So if they go Rome Odunze, pick number 10, the New York Jets, they're not going defensive line. They just traded for Hassan Reddick. They will go offensive line, surely. Or Brock Bowers. So you could get Dallas Turner or Jared Verse. One of those two guys will be there at pick 11. So you could get a second rounder, although the Vikings, they don't have a second rounder anymore. They gave it up to get pick 23. So I don't really know what kind of picks you can get from Minnesota for them to jump from 11 to 8. Maybe you get pick 23 from the Vikings, and Minnesota would get pick 8 and pick 43 to kind of water down losing picks 11 and 23. So could it happen, have Atlanta trade back and then trade back up? Sure, that happens very often in the draft. That wouldn't blow me away, and I think they would likely want to wait till round 2, though. I think they would have some level of belief of Kool-Aid or another corner they like being available at pick 43. Shelvis? Aiden? She loves Aiden. Oh, gosh. That was tough reading. What do you think about the team meeting they had the other day? And did you see it? I watched the 6.5-minute video of Raheem Morris speaking to the team. I mean, it was, I wouldn't quite say like run through a brick wall type of speech, but like I think your takeaway from that is Raheem Morris is an excellent public speaker, and his ability just to command the room, that says a lot. And it's a big NFL room. Like, you got 53 players. You need to have a spine and say it with your chest type of mentality. So I liked the video. I thought it was cool. I thought it's always a treat to get an insight to what's going on behind closed doors in the NFL. Parker Davis, what do you think of this trade? Falcons trade picks number 8 and 143. Vikings trade 11 and 23. I think that's probably way too much that Minnesota is giving up. I mean, I'm just going to pull up the trade value chart here, and this is not making for great radio, but I do want to give you the best answer possible, Parker. I mean, if we're looking at it here, pick number 11 is worth 1,250 points. Pick 23 is worth 760. So if you combine those two, we're talking about nearly 1,900 points. That should get you closer to picks 4 or 5, right? Compared to going all the way to 8. But you'd be sending back 143. 143 is worth 34 points. So I think Minnesota would want picks 8 in either a second or a third, not pick 8 in a round 5 selection for 11 and 23. I would do it. I would. I don't think Minnesota would. Archangel, players from the NFL you would compare Dallas Turner to, Verse to, and last Laiatu Latu to. Okay, player comp's always tough. Dallas Turner, he is a speedy off-ball linebacker that needs a long runway to find success. So, speedy off-ball linebacker that needs a long runway to get success. What about, like, that's not TJ Watt, Khalil Mack. That's not Trey Hendrickson. He wins more with power. I like Trey Hendrickson for Jared Verse. And then for Dallas Turner, talking speed demon off-ball linebacker. What about a... This does not make... Like, no, Micah Parsons is more of a well-rounded guy than Turner is. Dallas Turner. Oh boy, we are losing views by the second. Latu is a well-rounded, kind of gives me vibes of maybe more like a Hassan Reddick. No, because Hassan Reddick was maybe Hassan Reddick to Dallas Turner, and although Turner's much faster than Reddick, and Latu is more of a he's not as strong as Khalil Mack. These are bad comps. Like, he's not Khalil Mack. Khalil Mack is Khalil Mack. I'm bad at player comps. Every player is so unique that it's tough. So Archangel, shitty answer. I'm sorry. Jason Greenway, appreciate all your work. CLNS. Do you think third time's a charm for Eddie Goldman at least brings some depth? I kind of want to know who is initiating these reunions. Is it Eddie Goldman? And if so, why do the Falcons even say yes? Have they not learned their lesson? Or is Atlanta begging Eddie Goldman to come out of retirement, hoping this time he stays? So that's my first big question here. Do I think third time's a charm? I would envision that Eddie Goldman has to have more serious thoughts about returning this time than he did the last time, because why come back for a third time if you weren't really interested? So I think he'll make the roster. I think he's talented enough if he's still interested when September comes around. All right, that will do it for us on today's show. The Archangel question is really going to just captivate my mind for the next 48 hours. I'll give you a better answer in the comment section, Archangel.